What was the CIA's reaction to your interest in making the movie, and did they help in any way? I seen you had shots of the lobby of the CIA. Did they give you pretty good access, or was that sort of covert?
I had the unique experience of being able to spy on the CIA because right before I made the decision to make this film, I was in the process of making I produced a TV show called Covert Affairs, which is also set in the world of the CIA, but it's fictional. It is in part inspired by Valerie Plame. It's a young female spy who's like learning how to lie to her friends, and clearly you see some parallels to the work I did in Fair Game. But it's completely fictional, and it's outrageous spy stories every week. There's no connection to reality. Although if you read Mark's story last week in the New York Times about what happened in Pakistan, that actually was even more outrageous than anything we would have done in Covert Affairs. In fact, immediately after I read his story, I was on the phone with the writers of Covert Affairs being like, is this too outrageous for us to do a storyline like this? And that actually is a true story.
We'll definitely get to that, yeah. We'll get to that.
And one of my producers said, the CIA was cooperating with Covert Affairs because it's, Born Identity was very good for the CIA. It shows that sort of show the sort of exciting part of the CIA are good for the CIA. They help them recruit people. So they do. Even Tenet said that although he thought Born Identity was unrealistic, it was a very useful recruitment tool. And so one of my producers said, if you want to go inside the CIA, which I hadn't done yet, he said, we can get you in right now for Covert Affairs as the producer of Covert Affairs. And in a week, they're going to find out you're directing Fair Game, and you're never going to get near that building. So now's the time to go in. So I went in technically as the producer of Covert Affairs, but all I was doing was photographing the place and studying the place so I could then recreate it for the movie. So that actually is a digital recreation of the lobby combined with photographs I wasn't supposed to take, and because you're supposed to, Mark, no, you're supposed to leave everything outside the building, I'm in the film business. We kind of feel like we have like a little bit carte blanche, and what's the worst that's going to happen to me if they catch me taking a picture? I mean, I'm not a spy. I'm making a movie. I even had, we were taking Naomi Watts into the White House for no reason other than we were just showing her like everything in Washington. And the guy who was taking us around the White House, and I'd worked for Obama's campaign, so I'd been invited to the White House in the past, and I'd said, like, I want to see the Situation Room, and they're like, that's the one place we can't take you. And suddenly I'm with Naomi Watts, and she's like, can I see the Situation Room? And this guy who was taking us around clearly thought she was hot, and was like, let me see what I can do. And he spent about an hour while we were doing other things, and finally he's like, I got you guys in. And we go into the Situation Room, and we had been filming that day, and there's a film crew that follows us filming the movie. And so I actually am wearing like a microphone like this the whole time I'm on the set, because the film crew wants to hear what I'm saying. And you go into the Situation Room, and they're like, it's all this classified stuff around you, and they're like, if you have any cell phone, you have to leave it in this little cubicle because they're afraid it might be used as a transmitter. The same reason you can't bring it into the CIA. And they're like, so nothing like that. And I realized, not only do I have the cell phone, but suddenly I'm removing an actual microphone that's transmitting. And a cord and the transmitter.
Did you steal anything else?
No, that's it. But we had to, that's how we recreated the White House as well.
I mean, your depiction of the CIA in your movies is, I mean, the CIA can be a very thin-skinned organization, very sensitive, very insecure of its place in the American government, and I've found that, and very interested in their image publicly. So as you said, sometimes they like to feed the Hollywood image of the CIA, that they're incredibly competent, and that actually I found that they don't mind sometimes being portrayed as evil, but it's just as long as they're not portrayed as incompetent.
Yeah.
They don't want to be incompetent. You sometimes portray them as both in your movies, but I mean, for instance, if you look at the Born Identity, it's the sort of it's the machine, the machine of the CIA, and trying to get one man, and yet they don't do a very good job at it. So you poke fun of them in a way, but you find that this is a necessary organization.
Yeah, well, actually, in Born Identity, what I tried to sort of bring out is that the CIA is, in fact, a bureaucracy. And it's no different than any bureaucracy. It's no different than a bureaucracy in a university. It's no different than a bureaucracy in a newspaper. It's not some magical place. It's literally human beings working in a bureaucracy, and at a certain point, they're going to look out for their own neck, and they're going to sell someone else down the river. And so in Born Identity, in fact, I had more bureaucracy in the Born Identity, and I had to pull it out just because when you sort of tested the film, people really they didn't really want to spend too much time in the CIA. They wanted to spend time with Jason Bourne, and they also, making the CIA, having too much infighting within the CIA made them less threatening to Jason Bourne. But personally, I was very interested in what happens in an organization when one person is running a division and it runs a little bit amok, and you have a Jason Bourne out of control, and he has a boss. And that boss has a boss. But what's the relationship between the guy whose division is getting out of control and his boss? Because at a certain point, the boss is not going to stick his neck out for him anymore. And that kind of tension is the kind of tension that would be in any organization. Same thing if you went out on a limb on a story, your editor would only protect you so far. And at a certain point, the editor would be like, Mark's out of control. And wouldn't, you know.
He needs to be shut down.
Yeah.